Good evening and welcome to another edition of Longevity Kitchen with me, Julie Gibson Clark. As you can tell, tonight we're going to do something kind of fun. We are going to taste bone broth. Why, right? I make my own, so why would we taste it? Well, I had this huge, my last frozen block of bone broth and, used it up. I've been using it in smoothies every day because I noticed that bone broth has on average about 10 grams of protein. And of course, it's just so good for you. I mean, it's so good for your hair, your skin, your nails, your gut. I could go on and on, right? I mean, it's hydrating. I did a whole episode actually on all the benefits of bone broth, and I'll put a link up here and how to make it. So usually I do make my own, but I really want to continue adding bone broth to my smoothie, and it is like 104 degrees out there right now, and I just don't have any desire to make it. So you are going to benefit from my laziness because I went to the store thinking, well, it's usually just been like one brand, this Kettle and Fire bone broth. I thought, oh, I'll just grab some of that and, we'll be good to go. And then when I got there, I was like, oh my God, there's so many different brands. So there were these four, and then I think there were maybe two or three more as well. But I got these because they were convenient size, because I will make my own bone broth here eventually. I'm just being very lazy because of the heat. And I thought, why don't we taste test these? Now, this one was not available at my grocery store. I usually shop at Sprouts, so I did get the Sprouts brand. I am not affiliated with any of these brands, just so you know. There's zero affiliation, so I won't have any discount codes or anything like that. I will try to find links on Amazon for any of them, so you could buy them there. This one, though, is a store in New York City, and they have bone broth on tap. How cool is that? Like, you can just, instead of, if you were super cold in New York City, which is hard to imagine right now in Arizona, but if you were super, super cold and you didn't really want yet another cup of tea or another cup of coffee, you could go over to Brodo and get something on tap. They have different flavors. I just chose this one tonight so that we just all have, I'm just going to compare chicken bone broths. So, and I think all of these are the 10 grams per, it's like 9 to 10 grams of protein per cup, plus all the other bennies. Again, that I'll link it in the show notes as well, the other episode on bone broth. So the other thing I noticed when I was in the store, you've got bone broth, there was kind of like an area of bone broth, and then there was like a whole area of broth, and then in the US, what we call bullion, which means broth in French, but we have this kind of dehydrated bouillon that was all along the top. And so maybe we should go over the differences in case you're not sure. So broth, let's start. There's it really has a lot to do with how much meat, how much bones, and how long you simmer something is really the differences in everything. So on the one end, you've got broth, and broth is typically mostly meat, vegetables, sometimes bones, and it's simmered from 1 to 4 hours tops. It's typically kind of light. And then you can go and make a consommé from that by straining off all the bits and, clarifying it. And that's kind of shows your culinary skill in making consommé. So it's really just a clarified broth. So that's the one end, right? Broth, it's meat, some bones, 1 to 4 hours. So then you have stock. Now, fish stock is usually simmered 45 minutes to an hour. So stock is usually bones, some meat, and then you've got chicken, which is, I think, again, it's maybe 4 to 6 hours, and then beef being sort of the longer simmered one there, up to 12 hours. So it's usually 8 to 12 hours for a beef stock. And so that's your broth, your stock, and now you've got bone broth. And now bone broth is all bones, and usually vinegar is added to that too, just a little bit to pull the nutrients from the bone, and of course any connective tissue that you can get to is usually added to that bone broth. And that is simmered for 12 to 24 hours. And again, we're talking simmering on the stove. If you make this with an Instant Pot, you can speed up that time, or a pressure cooker, you can speed up that time considerably. Okay, but anyway, so you can kind of, again, broth, stock, bone broth, like in that order of how long something is simmered, and mostly meat, some bones, meat and bones in the middle, and then the bone broth, just bones. Okay, so, and then consommé just being the clarified. And then of course you have bouillon. Now the bouillon is like almost like a dehydrated stock that then of course they add either a ton of salt or like MSG to it. And I would not recommend it. It's usually, it's basically a processed food. However, I do understand sometimes we need that convenience. And, I know I've in the past used it to make gravy. Like I just need a little hint of extra flavor, and I don't want to open up a whole thing of broth or defrost something that I have. So that can be very useful. I would just encourage you to just make sure everything else is healthy. You're not using a lot of salt everywhere else, and just understand your trade-off, that you might be, more than likely you will be having some MSG as well. Okay, so that is the differences. And now let's talk about how we are going to do this. So I thought we would rank taste these things based on how they taste cold. So we're going to show you my little shot glasses, which don't get much action with alcohol anymore, so we'll use it for bone broth. And I've numbered the bottom of them. What is that? That's 1. I don't know if you can see, but I can't see the number. So, and then you'll see I've got numbers on each of these broths. So I'll put number 1 in here, number 2, yada, yada, yada. Mix them all up. I'm sure I won't be able to remember what's what, and then we will rank them cold. And it's really that one, I'm just going to rank it on flavor, something that I would enjoy in my smoothie. So obviously if something's tasting very garlicky or very oniony, I'm not going to want that in my smoothie. So just rank it for that, just smoothie alone. And then we're going to do a warm one. And I've got this water bath here, sitting here, and we will heat these up in the water bath so they're all the same temperature and we can taste them warm. And just basically, again, rank taste them more on obviously overall flavor for just sipping on, texture, and mouthfeel. That's really all I'm going to rank them for. Something that I know I would enjoy sipping on and or having soups. And maybe that might end up being 2 different things, but usually what I want to sip on is what I want to make my soups with. All right, that's how we're going to do it. So let's get started. Let me cut these open and get these heated while I taste the other ones. Let's see, actually I got to check. Okay, this is number 2, so I got to find number 2. So there's a number 2 on here, and I've got a number 2 right here. And just cut these open hopefully without cutting myself. Lift here. Okay. Obviously something to think about when you are buying bone broth is the packaging, the BPA linings and all of that. Let's see, look at me, I already forgot. Okay, there's number 2. And so when you make your own, obviously you kind of avoid that, but anyway, like I said, sometimes you need broth and you just can't make it. Okay, so that's number 2. I'm gonna put that in here. Turn that up. Okay, is this number 1? Yeah, number 1. So let's start. This is Dr. Kelly, and so this is Kettle and Fire. Again, I'm not affiliated, so they don't even know I'm doing this. Dr. Kelly Ann, I'd never heard of this either, but maybe you guys have bought this and maybe you have a favorite already. I do not, so this is gonna be fun. This is how I do everything. Like if I see a bunch of different things, like say olive oils or something that's, you just don't know. It's kind of an affordable little experiment. Maybe not olive oil, not the good olive oil, but some things, it's kind of a fun way to figure out which one is your favorite. So, okay, Brodo is number 3. Again, let me just make sure. Yep, number 3. Okay. And, excuse me. 1, 2, 3. What is this one? This is 4. That's 4. Okay. and sprouts. And I will have to, you know what, I'll put in the show notes like the price of things. I'd imagine it's different in different parts of the US, but I will figure out what it is in Arizona. Certainly they've got to be the, you know, at least the relative price is probably the same. So I will figure that out and put that in the show notes for you as well. Okay, one more, and we'll let these heat up. Okay, and 5. This is Bonafide. Again, never heard of these companies. I'd only heard of Kettle and Fire in the past, so clearly there's a market for bone broth. I did ask Bonafide. I sent them an email because they were, you know, nice enough to send me that. I said, you know, please. I sent him a mail on Instagram. I said, you know, would you please consider making this spicy bone broth, which is something that I make that I got from a book that I love. And again, it'll be in that episode that shows you how to make it's called a sweet bone broth, and it's made with a lot of spices. Because I think that would be, like, that's a very nice thing to sip on. You know what's going to be hard with those is picking them up, but we'll worry about that in a bit. Okay, so this is number 5, right? Okay, 5. Okay. This is number 4. Number 4. See, I'm gonna just, I don't know how to, I'll mix them up here in just a second. We'll figure this out. Okay, and this is 3. I'm just going to mix them up already because, like, I just get worried that I'll remember, and I don't want to. I just want to have completely blind, so I don't know what's what. I don't actually have a favorite brand because they're all new to me anyway. But you know, still. Okay, and this is number 1. I just want to be totally, you know, the menopausal brain can be quite surprising how much it forgets. Okay. So I am just going to close my eyes and carefully move these around without spilling them, maybe, hopefully. And then we're going to taste them. And I'll just put them in order. Like, this will be my favorite, and this will be my least favorite. Most favorite, least favorite, okay? So I just do this one more time. Okay. All right. Times sure have changed, and I look down a shot glass and I know that there's bone broth in there. But anyway, whatever. Life changes, right? We get healthier as we get older, I think. At least that's been my mantra. Okay. Salud. Okay. A little watery. It has a nice mouthfeel. It has like nice fatty mouthfeel, but a little watery. I don't taste a lot of like garlic or anything like that, so it would be pretty good in a smoothie. I'll leave it there. I'll leave room for, let's see, let's try from here. I'll leave room for possibly a better one. We'll see. That one's good. It's a little bit saltier than that last one. I'm trying to decide which one I would like better in a smoothie. It's more a watery mouthfeel. I think I would like this more in a smoothie. Okay. This one actually tastes a lot like that one, just a little bit richer. But boy, are they almost the same color? No, they're not the same color. Okay. I think I'm going to move it here. Let me see. Yeah, again, in a smoothie, I think this is going to be one of the better ones because, you know, we don't really want so much of a oniony flavor. Okay, that one's very strong. That's really good, but it's very strong. For a smoothie, I think it might overpower a smoothie. So I can tell which ones might be good when they're warm just to sip on. That's good too. Yeah, I still think though, this one has the least flavor. I think it's going to be the best one in a smoothie because you'll get all the benefits of the bone broth without having to, you know, have any essence of all that other stuff that goes in bone broth. There's that. Oh yeah, no, that has to go there. Okay, let me just make sure. I might do that. Okay. So that is in order, okay? I guess we have to figure out what's in here, and I have to flip those over. So let me get a glass so that I can pour this all in. Okay, so let's dump these out and write down which one. Well, you know what? I'll just put them in the order. Okay, so actually, we got it saved for the dramatic ending, right? It's got to be the dramatic ending. Let me start with the least favorite. Now, again, this is cold. It could be totally exactly the opposite when it's warm. So, so the least favorite was number 4, which is, okay, that's the Sprouts, okay? Sprouts, least favorite. Number 5, which was Bonafide, is the second least. And in the middle here, I guess, that's why I got this, number 2, which is Kettle and Fire, okay. And see what this one is. Number 3, okay, so that leaves Kelly Ann. Okay, Dr. Kelly Ann making the best one for a smoothie. Okay, so there we go. That's my favorite for a smoothie. I will again get the price points on all of these. I'd imagine the Sprouts one is probably going to be the most, economically positive, but it was a very strong flavor. I definitely would not want that in my smoothie. All 3 of these, not so much. Either one of those would work, but this one, of course, you have to special order. I will put a link to Brodo in the show notes. You would have to special order that, and they do have flavors that I've been messing around with to make some like cold soups. They're really, really good. But I think for smoothies, this one's going to be the best one, Dr. Kelly Ann. Okay, I'm going to be right back as soon as they're all warm enough, because again, I want them all at the same temperature so that, as you can see, like they taste very differently when they're warm versus cold. Okay, just a second. Okay, these things have all been heated, and as per usual, I overheated them, so I've been letting them cool here for just a little bit. And I realized when I was doing this, I should probably have 2 different rankings. One, because when I make my greens latte, it's probably going to be more like, again, it'll probably be a Dr. Kelly Ann's. I need something with not a lot of flavor because I want to add my own spices to it, and I want to make sure that it tastes, in the winter, I usually don't ever run out of bone broth, but in the event that I did, I want to make note of what that would be, and then which one I would like more in a savory dish or a savory. There are savory drinks in that healing broths and stews. Oh, I'm messing up the name, but again, I'll put a link in the show notes. Please visit my other episode and the greens latte episode if you haven't seen that, and how to use bone broth in making a delicious drink that you can enjoy every day, full of protein and all kinds of insane benefits for longevity. So that would be a different type of broth that's going to go in that versus something that's going to go in a savory, a sweet drink versus a savory. So let's see which is which. I have no idea which is which. So we're going to give it a try. I think these are, yeah, okay, this feels cool enough. So let's do what would be good, like what's good for a savory soup. Okay, so let's do that now. Okay, that tastes like a little too watery just to sip on its own. Might be very good. Well, we'll just do the savory soup. So that's just a little too watery for like a savory soup. I wouldn't do that. Oh, that's good. It's got a very nice balanced salty savoriness to it. Not too strong, not too... It's just a little bit more of a watery mouthfeel. Now this one's a little waterier. I don't know which one is more watery, but yeah, that one's very watery. This one is too, has a nice mushroom smell to it though. In fact, if you didn't tell me that was chicken, I would have thought that was a mushroom broth. Okay, this one's really dark. Ooh, it's very salty. It's very savory, but it's a little bit bitter. It's not as balanced. This one is a little bit more balanced. Yeah, that one's good. I would actually just sip on that if I wanted a savory thing to sip on. Ooh, this is good too. It's watery, but way more balanced. I'm actually going to move it, believe it or not, up here. This one just has like a funny taste to it. I don't know how to explain it. All right, I'm just going to make sure. Yeah, that's just water with like a water that's been like placed out near a farmyard or something like that. I don't know. It just doesn't, yeah. Yeah, that one's, actually, I think I like that better than this one. This one is really strong in flavor, but it's like kind of, there's a bitterness to it that I don't like. Yeah, I think this is better. Yes, anyway, put that there. This one, it's light, but it just has a, like, that's what I think of when I think of consommé. It has that nice flavor. Okay. And this is the one I'd want to make a soup with, for sure. Okay, and then actually, I think as far as, like, this one I'd want to make a soup with. And then as far as actually making my greens latte, actually, it probably wouldn't be that. It'd probably be this one. No, I'm sorry, that's that bitter one. This one. It would be this one. This one for the greens latte, and this one for the soup. So let's see if we can remember this. Let me get my thing and I'll dump them out. So, okay, drum roll, right? Which one is the least favorite for the soup? One. Let's see. One is, oh, see, Dr. Kelly Ann. But again, that would probably be the best in a, no, not in a greens latte, sorry. Not even in a greens latte. Okay, so this is worst to best. Yeah, I know what I'm doing here. My menopausal brain will figure this out. I'm trying to do two things at once, which is never a good idea. But right now, let's just rank taste for a soup and savory flavor. So Dr. Kelly Ann's, not so much. It's too watery once you heat it up. Okay, what is this one? This one's the one that's kind of bitter, which I think is the sprouts. Yeah, is it just a little too bitter? I don't know. It's just off. Its flavor is off. This one, oh, what am I doing? 2. Okay, so 2 is kettle and fire. I think that one is going to be really good for a bone broth smoothie. So I'm just going to cut that out. Okay, drum roll, right? What's the second fave is 3, which I think is Brodo. Yeah, okay, good. Oh, I'm glad that stacked up because I'm excited for a small business like that. That's just a cool idea. I want to support them anyway, but I didn't know who it was. So obviously, Bonafide wins, right? Is that right? Just make sure. Number 5, Bonafide wins for soup. That is a really balanced, savory broth. But if I was to make a greens latte, if I was buying the broth strictly for the greens latte, which is kind of sweet and you want a little bit of a brothy flavor to it, I would buy the kettle and fire. But if I was just buying it for soup, I'd be buying the Bonafide. And if it was for a smoothie, so it's kind of like this. I would definitely, like, I really wanted Sprouts to win, I'll be perfectly honest, because I love, like, you know, I'm sure it's the most economical option here, but I don't know if they simmered it too long or something's just a little bit bitter about it, and I think it would take over the flavor of anything you put with it. And the kettle and fire just had a very nice, just very nicely balanced. So this one for a smoothie, this one for the greens latte, and this one for soup. Okay, you guys like another edition of Longevity Kitchen in the wraps. Please, as always, either put in the comments something that you are questioning, or DM me on Instagram at juliegibsonclark.com. I'd love to hear from you if you have questions or ideas, or dishes that you want me to try and make, or questions about longevity. please feel free to message me, okay? I do look at every message. I just don't always get back to everybody. My real job is a little bit crazy right now, but I will get back to you. I promise, I promise, I promise. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.